Okay. So again, welcome everyone and happy April. Hopefully things are warm and not too super rainy where you are. But anyway, thank you for spending this time this Saturday morning with us. This is our PAC meeting for April. So first we'll start off with our executive committee report. So again, welcome for those of you who don't know me. My name is Maria and I am this year's president of PAC. So I wanted to just share some information of how to reach out to me, members of our leadership team, as well as for some of the questions that you might have had, because in some of the conversations in the Facebook group, we've noticed that, parents want to know more about, well, I'd like to reach out, or I have questions or want to give some feedback on certain things, but, not really sure who to reach out to. So again, the slides as well as the recording of this meeting will be sent out next week. So you will have this to reference to later on. But for questions and feedback, if you want to contact me directly, feel free to send an email to imsapacpres@gmail.com. And if you want to contact the PAC in general, but again, may not be sure who would handle certain things, you can send an email to our general PAC email, which is the imsapac@gmail.com. Kyle and I check that email regularly, and we'll either reply to you if it's something that we can answer for you, or we'll forward it to the appropriate people who might be able to give you that information. And also there's a full list of the leadership team that is available on our portion of the website, on IMSA's website. So the link is there. And there's also a list of who do I contact if in a document form on IMSA's website, and they have it under the parent resources page. So that also has a lot of information as to who you can contact. There's also the staff directory. So if there's a specific staff that you wanted to reach out to, if it's teachers or, those different areas that you might have questions on, you can use that staff directory to find out their contact info. And also for more specific questions, there's different contact people or contact emails that we have here. So if you have any questions regarding mental health, you can contact counseling@imsa.edu, and those emails go to all the counselors, and one of them should respond to you. And then if you have any questions regarding graduation, you can contact Myrta in the principal's office, and her email is there as well. And for questions regarding prom, senior banquet, and other senior activities, you can contact Brittany, and her email address is there as well. And then any questions you have about the ACT or AP test, contact Karen Golson, and her email address is there as well. And also any questions about the interim and incoming IMSA president, you would contact Minerva, and her email address is there. So we want to be able to give you as much information and connect you with the people that can help the most in answering your questions the most accurately and give you the most accurate information. So again, if you do have any questions that you're not really sure who is the right person to ask, feel free to shoot out an email to our general email address. Again, that's the imsapac@gmail. We'll be happy to try to connect you with the appropriate people. And also throughout this meeting, we will have representatives from not only PAC giving you updates on what we have been doing and what other upcoming things we have in the pipeline for you, but we also have representatives from different areas of the school. So we have Dr. Comfort here, who is the principal. We have Katie Berger, who is in the student life office. We also have Brittany Walker, who is in the student life office, and she will be sharing more information about some of these things with the senior activities. And then we also have representative from the teachers. We have Dr. Hancock here today, and also we have two RCs, Mia and Raphael, that will be sharing updates as well, and also from our student group. So we have Pranav from Student Council, and we have Jalen from Campus Activities Board, CAB. So again, we're looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you today, and also to answer any questions that you might have. So And I would also like to share information on IMSA Board of Trustees meetings. That link will give you the information about who's on the board, also more information about the meetings, and the next meeting is on May 19th. So if you use that link, you can view the agenda and information that they post there. I don't have the exact date on when they will have that information on there, but if you just want to keep an eye out. And there's also more information on there if there's any, if you would like to contact them regarding public comment, they'll have that on there as well as a Zoom link for when the meeting is going to occur. Okay. So our treasurer, Alex Williams, is unable to be at the meeting today, but he did share an update. So as you can see on the left is our budget for the year, and then our current balances are on the right. We do anticipate some more expenditures towards the end of the year. We are awaiting some requests for reimbursements for some of the activities that are taking place and will be taking place. And we were able to get the savings account set up so that rolling into next year, we should have some reserves coming into the new year. Next, I will call on Kyle to give us an update. Kyle?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just really updating on election process because we are getting towards the end of the year. So right now we are in the stage where you can still vote for the officers for next year. I will also put the link for that in the chat. I hope that's the right link there. So you can vote for these positions, and what's going to happen is that voting is until April 30th. Early May, the current PAC board will then choose who will be the at-large member for next year. And on May 15th, which is our next meeting, we will be announcing the PAC executive board for next year, other than the sophomore rep, who obviously we won't know yet because, the incoming sophomores are not yet incoming. Though that should be fairly soon. I think in another week or two, they will parents will start finding out if their child has been admitted for next year. And then again, the new board will take their place starting June 1st. So there's that. And then if we go to the next slide, the executive board is not the only way you can get involved. We have a lot of great committees there. Most of them are going to be talking today. Think about getting involved in a committee. If still, they always need people. Here's you can click on that, or you can, use your thing, scan that. And I'll also put the link to that form in the chat right now, if I can get it copied. And that is pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much. There we go.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you.
Oh, I think I just copied the same one.
So again, don't forget to go ahead and vote for the incoming board of next year. And Kyle is putting those links in the chat. Okay. So next, I would like to call on Kat. Kat, are you on to share updates on some sophomore parent happening? Okay, she might not be on the call yet, so I will share this information. She is going to be hosting a meeting with parents of sophomores. So this will be a great way for you to meet and connect with fellow parents, guardians of sophomores. So the meeting will be on Wednesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. at the Zoom link. She will be sending out more information early in this coming week. So check your emails if you're a parent of a sophomore, and feel free to email her at imsapacsophomorerep@gmail.com if you have any questions. Okay, next we will share some leadership committee reports. So first is the academic committee. So Moju, Gabriella, and Kathleen.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Moju. I just wanted to say good morning, and that Kathleen is going to walk us through our slides for today.
Good morning, thank you. So the academic committee appreciates the ability to meet with Dr. Akwaji Anderson the week before each of these PAC meetings. We just met on Thursday, and prior to that, we also were able to do we did an hour Zoom on April 7th with the rest of our committee to try to generate some broader interest aside from what we pick up on our Facebook threads under the auspice of academic committee. And then we also have a Gmail account, and maybe Mojo, if you can put that in the chat, because we usually have it on our page. So we have 3 sources by which we try to get input from the broader IMSA community. And these are the agenda items that we covered with Dr. Akwaji Anderson. And some of it might seem like old business now, but for anybody who is still seeking verification, the AP exams, which you had to have been registered for by October 15th of this past fall. All of them are online, and the 2 that there was still clarity was being sought. Well, the 2 in-person exams are only the AP Chinese and the AP Spanish, and those need to be done in person because of the nature of their administration. So the Chinese is at IMSA on May 14th on campus, and Spanish is on campus on May 21st. And then just the caveat to, and all of your students who are registered know this, but College Board is still the go-to source for any potential changes, and they would be in contact with your student, or Karen Goulson has been sending individualized emails to students. Next slide. Also, if there are additional questions, we have some nice overlap between Karen Goulson and our registrar, Mr. Abraham. So maybe a little bit of duplicity here, but if there's additional questions, we've been given the context of both Ms. Goulson and Mr. Abraham for questions on the AP tests. And then there were also questions about transcripts and getting an exemplar of your transcript, and that would again go to the registrar at our school, who is Mr. Abraham. Next slide. There is an SAT on May 8th that is going to be held on campus. So that's just a verification. And then also there had been some questions about, first of all, will it be held on campus? Yes. And then also, is there any capacity? That would be done through collegeboard.org. So that is, we can't answer that, but I think students who are interested would go directly to that site. And then there are dates already set for next fall for anybody who would be looking to take the SAT on campus at IMSA. There are dates that have been confirmed for IMSA being a host site for next year. And then as far as a question about fee waivers for taking SAT, that is possible. And otherwise it is a fee for test. So next slide. And then a recent topic that we got several queries on is the idea of college course credit or dual credit. It's a multifaceted course specific type of question. The simplest way for us to summarize our conversation with Dr. Akwaji Anderson is that dual credit is currently not honored at IMSA, but she remains interested in looking at potential future opportunities, such as collaborating with universities to potentially align curricula with those courses. And there has been examples on a case-by-case basis where students have taken community college courses, but that must always be approved by the registrar in advance of registering for any class. Next slide. And then this did go out in an e-blast, but just an update reminder, if people didn't see it, that it was the tradition or the expectation that service hours needed to be parsed out between internal and external hours toward the total of the 200. And that has been waived now that it's a cumulative 200, which is no longer differentiated between external and internal. It's just a total of 200. So that's a change that affects both the class of 2022 and 2023. Next slide, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. And then next we have the Hospitality Committee, which is Svetlana and Danica. Svetlana, are you on?
Good morning, I'm here. Danica is not able to attend today, but both of us are part of the Hospitality Committee. So I have a senior who's graduating, but Danica has, I think, a sophomore who is going to be doing next year. So we just want to bring, I guess, we don't have any other news besides the fact that we've organized appreciation for the teachers. The Teacher Appreciation Week is May 3rd through 7th. And unfortunately, since we're not on campus, we are going to do the same thing as we've done last year for those who've been here. We are purchasing gift cards and sending those out to the teachers. We still want to be appreciative for the work that they're doing. And we also have some retirement gifts in a similar manner that we'll be sending out along together as kind of a thank you gift for all that people give, all the teachers and Mr. Torres that he gave us at IMSA.
Thank you, Svetlana. Next, we have Student Life Committee. We have Audrey and Maria.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming on this Saturday morning in April. Audrey is unable to join us. So I just wanted to really quickly on this slide point out that when your students are back on campus, or if you've talked to your students and they're saying things that make no sense to you, we have our lovely lexicon document that gets updated quite frequently based on our sons and daughters who are part of our committees. And the things that they want to add there so they can help their parents understand the fun words that they're saying in acronyms. Next slide, please. We just really quickly wanted to say a very big thank you to these fantastic 49 parents of IMSA students, parents and guardians of IMSA students for their hard work this year being wing parents on this most interesting year. So we're very grateful to these lovely people. We're giving you, I'm chatting so you get a chance to take a look and see the breadth with which we have covered all of our wings. And we also want to have a quick thank you and shout out to our RCs who have been wonderful to work with during all of this time in communicating with us and telling us what we can and cannot do and the best way to try to support everybody. With that, a quick reminder to these lovely 49 IMSA wing parents, you will receive an email from us today just with a couple of wrapping up type of items like turning in reimbursements and things like that. And then also a quick plug for those of you who are with us next year with your students in the classes of 22 and 23, and of course 24 when they get here, that this is still hopefully a program that will continue. So if you're interested, chat up one of these lovely people on our list or email us at pacsdolife@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to talk to you about being a part of our committee. So thanks everybody, and that's all we have for today.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you to the 49 parents on this list. And next we have Friday Fest, which is Robin, Missy, and Gabriella.
So I love that there are 49 wing parents. So you guys have a team like the IMSA 49ers. I think that was what was going through my head. So thank you so much for all of the work you've done as wing parents this year. Friday Fest, I'm as a senior parent heading out. So the fortunate thing is that we have a wonderful group of incoming chairs for next year. Who have been serving as committee members since about November, December. So it's been really great. You can go to the next slide. as we finish up our year, we're going to continue supporting some of the student activities on campus. Just this past day, one of the clubs held an Earth Day event. So there were a couple of gift cards that were raffled off at that event. And there will be another raffle happening this coming week at the Student Leadership Exchange for sophomore students. Later on in May, on tentatively May 21st, there's an event occurring. I can't talk too much about it. This is something that Brittany is organizing, but it will be available to all students on IMSA's campus. And that will be the last Friday Fest support of a student activity this year. We do have an upcoming meeting on Tuesday, May 11th at 7 p.m. And we have decided we would love to invite our junior and senior parents who have either donated to a Friday Fest or volunteered in some capacity to come and join us around 7:30. Just to say thank you. And also so you can give us any tips and tricks that our new incoming chairs might need to know going into next year. Junior parents, it would be great for our chairs to start to get to know you, especially those of you who love coming to Friday Fest, in the event that over the course of next year, we can resume those events on campus, because believe me, the new chairs are going to need as much of your support as possible just to get their sea legs about how those events run from start to finish. So look for that email from me in early May. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin, for those updates. And just wanted to touch back with regarding Student Life and Friday Fest. Again, if you have not downloaded the cookbook, it's still available for you to download. It's actually on the IMSA PAC website. So again, the link on one of the first slides that we had. So feel free to do that. And great job to both committees on that. So the other thing that we wanted to share that will be new for the upcoming year is the Multicultural Committee. So some of the roles of the Multicultural Committee are to help ensure / encourage involvement in PAC by all ethnic and racial groups. Also to support the cultural activities led by IMSA student groups. And also with that, hopefully a bunch of you watched last night, because they did have Casa de Harambe, which was, the cultural event with 2 of the student groups there. And then also to hold meetings with parents as needed to ensure that diversity concerns and needs are being heard / addressed. So if you're interested in either chairing the committee or being part of the committee, that is also listed in that interest form. So feel free to share your interest on that interest form. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to the imsapac@gmail.com. Okay, and next we have Technology Committee, which is Guy, Jose, and Jim.
Hi, we don't have any news from the Technology Committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And here we just have an update on the Facebook group. There's the link to join and also the QR code to join. And the group moderators for the Facebook group are Jim, Danica, and Kyle. And if you have not joined the group yet, there are some questions that you need to answer to request to join the group. Also, the guidelines and rules for that Facebook group can be viewed on that link below or on the QR code. Yeah. Okay. Next, we have regional representatives. Kathy Williams.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Maria. So the regional reps have been really busy doing holding meetings, and it's been kind of a difficult time to plan things, as you know, given the guidelines that we have to follow in terms of meetups. But as that eases, I think we'll start to see some additional activities occur. I do know that Region 8, for example, did have a couple of Zoom meetings and actually had a scavenger hunt over Zoom. I believe Region 9 also had some meetings as well. Is there anyone else of the regional reps that are online that would like to speak to things that they may have done that I'm missing? I know Missy Graff may have had some meetings as well.
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure.
So Missy Graff just texted me before this meeting. She's driving. She was going to try to hop in, but had me sitting here in backup position. So she has coordinated with some Region 7 parents on some events. Missy, did you just join?
Well, I'm on. Can you guys hear and see me? Yes.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on my phone because I just had to bring my daughter down for her musical. But yeah, just wanted to say Robin's going to throw in the chat. We had 3 meetups scheduled for Region 7 in the month of May, a couple Saturdays and a Wednesday, but anybody's invited. So if you are in a region close to Region 7 or you want to make a day of it on one of these Saturdays, feel free to jump on that Google Doc and put your information down so that we can get a head count and plan on getting together as families and get our students together. So all is welcome. All are welcome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone. We do still have some regions open. Region 2, we're still looking for a rep there, and Region 4. Also, all of the regions could use help. I believe Region 9, I'd like to ask if we can just appeal to someone to try to help out there. Again, all of the regions could use 1 or 2 people in addition to those that are here. So please feel free to reach out on the form that Maria mentioned, the sign-up form, or IMSA PAC, the IMSA PAC at gmail.com. And that's all I have.
Thanks for those updates, Kathy. And yes, for those, for the regional reps, feel as they're planning certain things, just look out for information that they'll be sending out. And then before we move into the updates from our guest speakers today, I want to open it up to the Q&A for anybody that might have questions related to the PAC or PAC updates. So feel free to unmute if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, or if you want to put it in the chat. Okay, well, we will still have the capability. If you have any questions towards the end of the meeting, we'll have more Q&A, so feel free to ask at that time. Okay, next I would like to call on Pranav to give us student council updates. Pranav?
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Pranav Manoj, an IMSA junior, and I'm student bodies liaison to PAC. So first, I'd like to go over a few brief yet kind of important logistical student body updates, and then I'll sort of transition into what the student perspective looks like right now. So most recently, club chartering season has actually just finished, and student council received around 63 chartering applications for returning new clubs this year, and we're prepared to accept anywhere from 50 to 60 clubs for the 2021-2022 academic year. And we're all looking forward for the hopefully in-person club events next year. In addition, as I think was mentioned, we had an amazing Casa de Harambe last night, which was a dual culture show, which was live streamed, and I'm sure all our families would enjoy watching that. Kind of transitioning and moving on, I'd like to discuss what student life looks like right now. So we understand that it's been an undeniably difficult time and full of uncertainty, especially for the student community. Especially because of last year has witnessed extraordinary change within IMSA's academic community. And if the 2020-2021 academic year has yielded sort of anything exceptionally significant, other than demonstrating the resilience of student and family spirit, we have begun to kind of better appreciate the importance of comprehensive student communication with our RC staff, our administrators, our faculty, our parents, and our student body. So we strongly believe that each body plays increasingly significant roles in the maintenance of our unique academic environment. And we'd like to advocate for routine roundtable open discussions between all of our constituent organizations at IMSA to better and more effectively address the issues that students commonly face on or off campus. So I think that concludes my update. Thank you for everyone for your time and your commitment to IMSA students at this time. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you soon.
Thank you so much, Pranav. We really appreciate your update. And next, I'd like to call on Jalen to give us updates from the Campus Activities Board. Jalen, are you on the call? Okay. So let me see if he's got information. Okay. So next I'll call on Brittany, who is a coordinator of campus activities. Brittany?
Hi, everyone, and no problem. I can definitely speak to any of the CAB events that were coming up. So it's perfect, perfect segue. But I hope you're all having a great morning. I just wanted to give you a few updates. There's lots of things kind of coming up, both virtual and potentially in person for our senior students. So we can go to the next slide. Some really fun things that are happening are our virtual events that are coming up. We have several. There will be at least one event every week moving forward. So we are really excited about that. We're starting off actually this Wednesday. SLX was mentioned during the day, but at 4:30 p.m. there will be our Titan Involvement Awards. Sorry, the name slipped my mind. But the Titan Involvement Awards is new this year. It's to kind of celebrate all of the different things that our clubs, organizations, and eventually athletics have done throughout the school year. So it's a way for us to, acknowledge specific events. It's a way for us to acknowledge, the executive board members, students, advisors, coaches, and their hard work throughout the year. So this will be the first year. It will be virtual, and the hope is to move it to being a in-person event as we continue on in the years to come. So we're really excited about that. The remaining events that will be virtual that we have coming up are, the VCR party. So what's really fun about this event is they advertise it as saying it's the YouTube before YouTube, and with the IMSA connection to YouTube, I thought this would be really fun. So it's a little interactive version of, think of a comedy show and America's Funniest Home Videos. So they went all over the world and got these fun, just VCR tapes. I think it'll be really interesting for our students to see, but that event will be coming up early May. We have a student, he's not an IMSA student, but there is a 19-year-old speed painter. He's amazing. His name is Evan Struck. He will be doing 3 to 4 live pieces based on the student recommendations. So that means the students can say, we want you to paint Mickey Mouse, and he will do a live painting of Mickey Mouse on, a large canvas, and we will have ownership of those pieces. So that's the other fun thing, is we can raffle some of them off. We can, have him write the IMSA or the Titan logo, and have that as a fun memento of this virtual time period that we've been in this year. So I'm really excited about that. Some other events that are coming up that I don't have pictured here are a magician and one. So the magician is not your average magician. He's not pulling rabbits out of a hat, but a more modern version. And he's made his show interactive to the point where it's been very popular virtually. And then we'll also have a mystery night. So we had one last semester and it was wild. It was seriously one of the best events I've attended in person or virtual. And it allowed students, especially our, very beautiful minded IMSA students, to go and break out rooms and kind of work through the crime scene and figure out, who the suspect should be. It was really awesome. So we have another one coming up this semester that the students will be able to participate in, and I'm really excited for that event. That will kind of end out our May virtual events. But our first one that's coming up that I'm excited about, it's going to be Drag Bingo next Friday, and it's featuring Hasta La Vista, who is going to give us some virtual bingo calling. The other great thing about this is, well, one, students can register. So any student who would like to, the registration link has gone out to them, so they're able to register now. But one thing that's also great about this is that the Hasta La Vista will be giving answering questions about the LGBTQ plus community. It's going to be co-sponsored between both CAB and our Spectrum organization. So I think it'll be fun and educational for students. And again, we just need them to register. And the fun thing is in between, for every round, there will be gift cards awarded to students for winning the round of bingo. So very exciting things happening. At the bottom here, it does say, stay tuned for our virtual lock-in on May 21st. That's the event that I'm so excited to have the assistance of the Friday Fest committee to help us with gift cards. So long story short, students are going to be asked to be on a Zoom call from 6 p.m. until midnight on the 21st. We tried to space it far enough away from finals and things like that, but we'll have interactive things. So there will be spoken word artists to come in and talk to the students and give them some of their pieces. We will have a professional singer-songwriter whose song, her name just slipped my mind at this very moment. I forgot her name right now, but she is currently, her music, her voice is actually the songs that are played at Disney World's parade. So like a real artist, and she'll be taking song requests from students, and then she'll end her set with actually writing a song along with our IMSA students. So I'm excited for her to have that opportunity with them. And we've also contracted a caricature artist to be throughout the event, so students can pop in and get a digital caricature that they can keep. And finally ending the night with a person called Sung Beats. So he will mix and do music with the students and have a little fun. Also in between there, we plan to have some IMSA organizations that are going to either put on some sort of show performance or do some educational, but we just want to have an opportunity where as many students as possible can come in or out at their own time. They are welcome to come, leave, have it on in the background. It's not one of those we want to, you have to be sitting here and we have to see your face. But the fun part about it, in addition to all the artists, is that we will be giving gift cards from the Friday Fest committee funds that they've offered to students every hour. So another great event that we are excited to announce and bring to students, and we're trying to do as much as we can to keep them occupied and have fun while they're virtual and remote. Not so much like sitting at a computer for a lot of these things, but just ones where they can kind of passively be engaged and have fun with their peers. We have one more slide. So big news that came out this week. We had our senior meeting on Wednesday. We announced to the students and then followed up with an email to our senior parents and students the information on having a shortened version of a senior week, which is going to take place June 2nd. And I skipped the yard time, but June 2nd through graduation day, which is June 5th. So really quickly, just some of the things that we are looking at, and I'll actually just copy and paste some of this that came in the email, just an idea of what will happen during this time period. Students will move in and we will have activities for them for morning, midday, and evening pretty much every day so that they are occupied and they're still getting their IMSA experience. We're trying to also include some of the fun things that they're used to having, all those traditions, all the fun things. So one thing that we have is a mini carnival. So one thing that everyone looks forward to is carnival. We'll have just like a senior game day and things that they would have typically seen at a carnival without the large rides and things, but just a fun time for them to have, out on campus. Senior Sunrise is another activity that we will have. With Senior Sunrise, it's basically them waking up in the morning. There's a hill that they sit on campus, and they will have the opportunity to just spend that morning with each other. We will also have prom, an in-person prom, which was something that was really exciting for the seniors to hear about. All of those events will be free or included in, just students coming to campus for that time period. So we are really working hard to make sure that we have these opportunities and it can give the students a little piece of their IMSA experience, as I mentioned before. Some other things that will come up later from the principal's office are also in the calendar, but I'll let them kind of announce what that looks like. And then there will be some more information forthcoming on senior banquet. As of now, we know that that's going to take place Friday, June 4th at 5 p.m. Awesome. And that's all of my updates. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I missed yard sign. We had a yard sign update this morning. So I'm sorry. We will now be offering all seniors a free yard sign. And so more information will come about that with that. The biggest thing is for any of the students that plan to attend, there's a parent-led event on May 1st for Decision Day. We will have the yard signs available for pickup, and then we'll just keep track of those who are picking it up that day, and everyone else we will work to have it shipped directly to the senior homes. So really quick, I'm answering a question in the chat box. Yes, parents are able to attend the senior banquet. It is expected, to be more of a family event. From there, that's all we know. We'll kind of give more details as far as numbers, and there is a cost associated with senior banquet. So we will give all of those details once we've kind of ironed those out a little bit better. But yes, it is an event that we hope that a student will be able to bring their parent or guardian. And I think that's all for my updates for right now.
Thanks for all those updates, Brittany.
Before we move on, there was another question asking about dress code for, prom, graduation, senior banquet, stuff like that. So you'd be able to address any of that?
I can say for prom, it will be as formal as any student would like. So we still plan. It'll be, I should say, these events are expected to be outside, just for safety guidelines and spacing. There's a tent. We will work with different climate control and things like that, but it is expected to be outside. However, we do want the students to have their formal event. So prom will continue to be as formal as a student would like. Senior banquet details are forthcoming as far as attire.
Okay, if you have any questions for Brittany regarding any of the information she just shared with the activities, or if you have any for Pranav for student council, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat right now. So we'll take a minute or two to get some questions answered. And moderators, if you want to share any other questions going through on the chat, that'd be wonderful.
Senior banquet will be outside.
Okay, great. And Brittany, if you could just clarify, senior banquet is for the seniors and their families, correct?
Traditionally, it's been for their entire family, but just because it's on campus and outside, we're not exactly sure the amount of people that could come with any given student. So for now, I know that I can say that we are planning for one student and 2 adults.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions for Brittany? Thank you, Brittany. Okay, and next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Michael Hancock. He is IMSA faculty for the English department, as well as the president of the Teachers Union. So welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for the invite. Certainly, as a faculty rep and council president, I look forward, and we look forward to working more closely with parents and to improving collaboration and communication between us for the benefit of students. After all, IMSA educators established the IMSA Council to advocate more effectively for students through an organized voice in decision-making. So we look forward to strengthening our relationship. Maria suggested that I might speak this morning to you about what IMSA teachers have done over the last year working with students, and I'm sure that you are aware of some of this, so I apologize for telling you anything that you already know. But the challenges of the last year for students and teachers alike have demanded great creativity and patience on our part as classroom teachers. I don't really have to tell you the challenges that students have faced because you've seen them, you've lived them, right? Our students come from a variety of home environments and have a range of responsibilities at home. Many have had to provide childcare for siblings. Many have had jobs on top of their IMSA classes. Some have had technology challenges with spotty Wi-Fi access, or having to share a computer with a sibling or siblings. And of course, students have also encountered economic and mental health struggles during the pandemic crisis. We have had certainly some challenges as teachers, as you might imagine, adapting to remote learning. I would say, from my personal experience, it has been harder to replicate the give and take of the classroom environment remotely. So that's been a big challenge. I know that many of my colleagues have found online grading slower and more cumbersome as well, which has affected certainly our timely feedback on assessments. Speaking of assessments, we have adapted assessments to the challenges of the remote learning environment, and designed them in ways that allow students to take advantage of whatever resources are available to them at home. Many teachers, many classes have adopted proficiency grading to let students demonstrate knowledge in a variety of ways. Okay. We have also experimented with an array of tools and platforms to keep students engaged. And many of you may already be familiar with some of these technologies. I'm not going to dwell on them. I'll just mention, among others, that my colleagues and I have found useful. Flipgrid for responding asynchronously to forums, Padlet for real-time visual collaboration and comprehension checks, Nearpod for quick feedback with a variety of question types. Also, I know that in world languages, in French, they had a Discord meeting with exchange students in France last spring. And there have been opportunities as well afforded to us through remote learning, including inviting guest speakers to class on Zoom, which really would have been more limited in person in the past. So that at least has been a benefit to our students and their learning. And of course, we've seen other imaginative adaptations to distance learning with, for instance, a virtual choir concert. So even though we have had to adapt, and I think that we have lost some of the richness of our course content, in part because of working remotely, in part because of more limited class time, I think that there have been some benefits as well of remote learning. We also have, over the last year, at least in the humanities and history and English, offered new electives to provide students with expanded choice and an opportunity to find aspects of themselves mirrored in our course material, even as they encounter a diversity of content that challenges them to understand people with other identities than their own. Also, outside the classroom, we have continued doing what we typically do as teachers in terms of offering support to students only in a different modality. So we've been listening to students, including the Black Student Union and their concerns about equity and safety and belonging, and the Black at ISMA Instagram. Titan Crew has afforded teachers and other staff the opportunity to develop relationships with students and offer support to them outside of a classroom setting. We have certainly, as teachers, made ourselves available to students during in remote office hours, at all hours, right? Outside the typical workday, on nights, weekends, over breaks. And I'm happy to say many students have taken advantage of that to support their learning. We have continued to support or sponsor extracurricular activities. We have, as usual, been writing letters of recommendation, and especially at this time, we have seen an increase in students' mental health issues. So we have been referring students more frequently to our counselors for wellness concerns. And I'll close for now by saying that teachers appreciate, and RCs for that matter, appreciate parents' invitation for us to join the College Decision Day celebration on campus next weekend. So that's a very quick update on what we as teachers have been doing with distance learning over the last year. And I'm happy to answer questions about that or questions pertaining to the IMSA Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing those updates with us, Dr. Hancock. And I would like to open it up to anybody that has questions. Feel free to unmute or put it in the chat. Okay, great. Dr. Hancock, would you like to share an email address in the chat if anybody has questions for you? Or
Absolutely.
if not, okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next, I'd like to introduce Mia and Raphael, two of IMSA's RCs, to give us updates from the RCs. Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm sorry, I have my dishwasher running right now, so I'm just like, I'm sorry for that in advance. Rafael and I originally had a presentation ready, but also we don't want to take over the screen sharing, so I think we'll just kind of like read off of that as we go along. So Rafael, if you want to like start off with the RC updates on basically what we've been doing to help support our students, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, so to start, just kind of continuing what we have been doing throughout the year, like in terms of weekly programming. So on the educational side, just keeping those programs going. Some of you probably have seen like blogs from the RCs or just different emails or updates about the types of programs we've done. But for example, some of the topics we've done: self-respect, productivity, teamwork, character, cultural competence, all that stuff to kind of help make our students more well-rounded individuals. And then trying to step up kind of the social programming as the year comes to a close, to kind of try to make up for the fact that they can't all see each other. So just some of the things we've done throughout the year: movie nights, different kind of like game nights, so like Jackbox, Among Us, whatever video or online board games the students have been liking to play. And so kind of just going towards the end of the year, a lot of us have been asking our students, what are the events here, like programs you really want to do with your friends before the end of the year, so we can try to give them as many fun opportunities as we can before things come to the close.
In addition to that, we still keep up with our availability to talk to students. Pretty much like 7 days out of the week, we have like the phone forwarded from like the office phone to like one of us RCs. So basically a student can like call the office and one of us will most likely answer. We continue to provide resources for students in regards to if they have questions for like service hours or any academic questions that we can answer, et cetera, et cetera. We also continue to provide emotional and mental support for our students. We do check-ins like every other week, specifically to make sure that students are taking care of themselves to the best of their ability and to like monitor their well-being and make sure they're doing okay, because these are unprecedented times, so they need all the help that they can get.
And then of course continuing to just do everything we can to provide a sense of community, which of course has been harder to do over the year virtually. And so one of the main ways we've been doing it is through Discords. I think all of the halls right now have like a hall Discord, which we use to kind of encourage the students to like chat with each other and just keep up. And so I know, for example, at least in the O1 Discord, since I run that one for the hall, we always make sure to try to post announcements for events and hype things up. I try to do every day, or at least the days where I remember, check questions for the students, since that was kind of a big thing when we were back on campus, kind of just a random fun question every day. Or some of us will just share like funny videos or funny memes or things for the students to talk about, and kind of just encourage them to keep up and talk as much as they can. And then, yeah, just using as many social opportunities as we can, whether it's programs we're running ourselves or reminding students and encouraging them to attend all of the social events that are on IMSA. So for example, hyping up Casa de Harambe this past weekend, or whenever CAB has an activity, kind of just like also reminding students about those opportunities.
I see that there's a question in the chat. We will get to that in the Q&A portion. Thank you so much, Leland. We also continue to advocate for our students. So we attend meetings with and without PACs to gauge student stability and progress on academics. We also reach out to other faculty and staff members on campus in case students need the support of an RC to advocate for them. Again, this could be academic or non-academic. And we take information from our aforementioned student meetings, checking up on them in case we need to provide that information for whatever they may need, so that they can be successful. And we also advise clubs, so it's pretty neat. We do class club. I personally am the class club advisor for sophomore class club. So we try to fundraise for prom, and we also do any other club activities that require staff or faculty member to chaperone on Zoom, since students are not technically allowed to host Zoom rooms themselves. So some examples of that: I'm also an advisor for Code Society. John is the advisor, I believe, for Spectrum, and Raphael is the advisor for Alma Latina. So I think that's it for the slides that we have prepared. Are there any updates regarding IMSA SIR program? Would you please share with us? Raphael, do you know anything about that?
I don't think we would necessarily be the people with that information. We're not really told too much about SIR or specific details about it.
We can try to get back to you on that. If we'll try to find answers and we'll get back to you. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for us?
I'll jump in real quick. This is Dr. Kwaji Anderson. I don't know who is asking questions about SIR. I can answer the question. I'm not sure what exactly about SIR, but that's part of academics, so I can answer that question later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mia and Raphael, for those updates. So I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for Mia and Raphael right now? All right, so again, we will continue to have a Q&A session at the end of the meeting as well. So if you do think of things to ask them, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute later on, and feel free to ask them. And again, thank you, Mia and Raphael, for those updates. We appreciate it. So next, I'd like to ask Katie Berger to give us updates from IMSA Student Affairs.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to your meeting. It's always a pleasure to be here with you all each month. I want to say thank you to Brittany Walker for all the work that she has done. As you could see by her very extensive update, there is a lot going on, and I'm grateful for Raphael and Mia being here, because one of the things I want to talk about is housing, and they may have a couple of things to add in or share about that. We are planning on releasing housing for next academic year in May, releasing housing assignments as has been our previous practice. So parents, let your students know that they should look out for information about a meeting for students to attend that first week of May. But before we can do that, we really need to finalize hall assignments for next year. I know some of you parents had the opportunity to attend the January Board of Trustees meeting. And at that meeting, students were engaged in a discussion with the Board of Trustees about equity at IMSA. And one of the topics of conversation that came up was really about the residence halls and the fact that we have one co-ed hall on campus. And following that meeting, we had a lot of additional conversations within the student life team with our students, and our students even put together a proposal. It came from PME to say, hey, we'd like to expand the number of co-ed halls from 1 hall to 3 co-ed halls. And so had some good feedback from students about that. And there were 2 different meetings with RCs to get some feedback from RCs. And Raphael, I believe you participated in one of those meetings. And so if you want to share the feedback of the RCs, feel free. Otherwise, I have some feedback from the notes. But since you're here, can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, so yeah, both of those meetings kind of just started with going over kind of the pros and cons of what campus would look like with more co-ed halls. But I think in general, majority of the RCs were in favor of that idea of slowly in the future transitioning to more co-ed halls. I think it brings a lot of more opportunities for students to really interact and get to know people outside of maybe their comfort zone. And obviously, so many students have shared like positive things about the co-ed halls and how it really helps out with a lot of the equity. And yeah, so I think the RCs in general were all in favor of that idea if that was where we chose to move in the future, because we think it's a general overall more pros than cons for that topic.
Okay, thanks, Raphael. Mia, anything that you would add?
Not necessarily, but I am down for more co-ed halls. Woo!
Okay, thank you. Thanks for weighing in on that. And so, as I mentioned, the proposal from our peer multicultural educators, because I realize I probably shouldn't speak in acronyms all the time, is to transition from 1 co-ed hall, 3 male halls, and 3 female halls to having 3 co-ed halls, 2 male halls, and 2 female halls. You might remember a couple of months ago at the PAC meeting that there was an ask if parents wanted to be involved in a focus group to really gather some more feedback on this. And due to some staffing transitions with the staff member who was coordinating that didn't happen. And so, while we know we have really strong feedback and input from some other stakeholder groups, we haven't yet really gotten that from parents. And so wanted to just do a quick poll. I'm going to see if I can make this work, you all. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to put it in the chat. So in the chat, I'm putting in the website for slido.com and a code. If you have your mobile device, or if you were on a computer, or you have a tablet with you, if you go to slido.com and you type in that code, it gives you the opportunity as a parent to just in real time weigh in on this. And if you're willing to let me share my screen, I can share the results as they come in. So it's 1 question for parents. And the question is, do you support increasing the number of co-ed halls from 1 to 3? And your options are, yes, let's do it. No, let's keep things the way that they have traditionally been, or I'm not sure yet, let's have a focus group. And I will let you know that if we're going to do a focus group, we're absolutely going to do it like this week, because we want to keep things moving along. And like I said, our students drive so many of the decisions that we make at IMSA, because we really want to respond to them to create the best and the most comfortable campus community possible. So as we are moving things along, we also don't want to go too quick where we're not pulling together the right people to have conversations. So I'm going to share my screen if you all don't mind. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, are you able to see my screen so you can see the results coming in?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to leave that up there. Feel free. It does say very faintly at the bottom what the code is. If you still need that, we'll keep that up. It's going to change as people vote, and I'm just going to keep talking. This week is the Student Leadership Exchange. I had a parent ask me, what is the Student Leadership Exchange, and does my student need to attend? So the Student Leadership Exchange, or SLX, because we abbreviate everything, is really the kind of capstone experience for the LEAD program that all our sophomores participate in. It's happening this Wednesday, April 28th. It is from 9 to 11:30 a.m. That's when the students are actually going to present their final product from the LEAD program. And then from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon is the Hollister Lecture. It's in honor of a faculty member, Bernie Hollister, who passed away many years ago and had a strong commitment to leadership and service. And we're pleased to have the support of his family to bring in a speaker every year to speak to our sophomores about just those topics. Again, it is required for all sophomores, and Andrea Steiber, who is the Assistant Director of Student Engagement and Leadership. She's the coordinator of that event. So parents, look out for an email from her early this coming week. She's actually going to share out all of the information about the event. So parents, if you want to attend, I would encourage you to attend and see your student present and learn a little bit more about the program. And a special shout out to RC's Mansour and Eric, who are also helping to run that event. So if you have questions, Andrea, Mansour, and Eric are your kind of go-to people for that event. The other really cool thing is that all of our sophomores will have the opportunity to then upload their project from LEAD, from SLX, to Digital Commons. And that means by the end of this academic year, 100% of our students will be published to Digital Commons, which is just a very exciting thing for our students to be able to have their work out there. And I was meeting with a senior student a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Digital Commons, and he's like, I never go in there. I don't even know. And we went back, he's a senior now. We went and looked at his sophomore LEAD project. It had been downloaded 215 times, and he had no idea. And I'm like, you're applying for scholarships right now. Put that in there. Like, that's a really cool statistic to be able to share. How amazing. And you can actually go in, parents, talk to your students about this. You can see a map of where the downloads have come from. So you're like, oh my gosh, my project has been downloaded 3 times in Russia. That's a fun fact. So just a really cool tool for our students to be aware of, and a good experience for them. And then they can decide if they want to take that project from LEAD and kind of launch it into something else. I know for our associate students, a lot of them will go to Into and create a project team and perhaps get some funding and some coaching to really launch that. And some students say LEAD was enough and I'm done with this project, and that's perfectly okay too. But wanted to provide that clarity since that was a question from a parent, and I'm happy to answer additional questions on that as well. Transitioning to service learning, we still have 54 students, senior students, who have not achieved their 200 service learning hours yet for graduation. Graduation is really close. So if you are a senior parent, please log into PowerSchool, just double check where your senior is at regarding service learning. Ms. Dana Gannett has probably reached out to you if maybe your student isn't there yet, but please keep an eye on that for our senior parents, and contact Ms. Gannett if you have any questions or need any assistance with that. For sophomores and juniors, there was an email shared this week, also from Dana Gannett, that typically we require our students to complete a minimum number of service hours in different categories, internal and external. Given all that has gone on, we're going to waive the categories. So we're going to still ask our students to achieve 200 hours of service learning, but we are not concerned with internal hours or external hours or capping the number of out-of-state hours. And so that is something that was just announced, and with all the emails, wanted to make sure you didn't miss it. So putting that on your radar. When it comes to mental health, I am really excited to share that we are going to be offering 2 trainings on understanding trauma and resiliency for faculty and staff at IMSA, provided by the Chicago Children's Advocacy Group. That is being funded through a grant for us by Lurie's Children's Hospital and their Center for Childhood Resilience, who we have a partnership with. And this is all a part of the work that we have been doing for the Trauma Responsive Schools pilot. And so I just want to give a shout out to the people who've been involved with that. So we have 2 faculty members, Evan Brummett and Laura Koff, Kara Mullenhouse, who is a CAC, our Learning Strategies Coordinator, Amy Keck, our DEI Director, Adrian Coleman, and School Counselor, Keisha Reams. And it has been just kind of a wonderful collaboration of people from around the Academy coming together to talk about how do we support our students and how do we provide some training. It's optional training, but training to our colleagues to help them do that too, to Dr. Hancock's point, in this really unprecedented time. We've also, we're going to have over 70% of our staff and faculty trained in mental health first aid by the end of the year, which is exciting too, that we've been able to do that. I believe it was shared earlier. We have created an email address for our school counselors at imsa.edu, as we have gone from having 2 counselors to having 3 full-time counselors and a counseling intern, so now 4 people. Our colleagues have said, gosh, it gets kind of hard to know who to email. Parents have shared the same thing. Just email counselors@imsa.edu, and that way it goes to everybody and you're sure to get a response. So we're hoping that that is a streamlined and helpful tool for you. For students, we are going to be offering a session on April 29th at 4 o'clock. It's going to be facilitated by our counseling intern, Susie, to process the Derek Chauvin trial and verdict. So if that is something that your student would be interested in, wanted to share that as well. We also have had the opportunity in the last month or so to be able to welcome many new members of our team, and hopefully you saw some of those emails come out, for new resident counselors, for new day hall monitors who are staying on with us and helping with some special projects and getting some additional training to be prepared for next academic year, 2 new health office employees, 1 new full-time school counselor, Alex Pratt. And then beginning Monday, we're actually welcoming a new administrative assistant to student affairs. So we've had that position vacant since Barbara retired at the end of last academic year. And so we're really excited to have that person join us. And all of you know, Minerva does a little bit of everything. So it'll give some additional assistance to our office team. And then also be able to provide more support to all things that we're doing for the students. Looking ahead, thinking about next year and looking ahead to next year, which several of the things I'm talking about kind of allude to. We did have selection committee this month, and letters are going to be going out the first week of May to class of 2024 students. We're looking at plans for orientation over the summer. And while that might not apply to all of you, what does apply to all of you is the fact that registration forms are going to be released May 1st, and there is action required for all returning students. And we ask that you do that, take that action and complete those forms by the end of May. So kind of add that to your mental to-do list or your mental calendar that will be coming out soon. And Minerva is the main point of contact for registration forms. Thinking ahead to the class of 2024, we know that the administrators for the PAC Facebook page, get ready, because you're going to be getting requests from class of 2024 parents to add to join the Facebook page. We hope that can continue to be a community for parents and a resource to celebrate successes and get questions answered and all of that. I shared this with Maria previously, and I said to her that I would share it with all of you. I've received a few emails from parents who are not necessarily involved, and they're not involved in the leadership of PAC, and they weren't sure who to go to, but have shared that they have just some concerns about some of the comments that are made on the Facebook page. One of the emails said, "We signed up for an education not to be engaged in some battle of opinions or being pushed to take sides." So I agreed with that parent that I would share this. So my ask is that on that page that we refrain from making demeaning remarks about specific people or specific groups. Please know that I'm not saying that you have to like or agree with everything that's happening, that you can't disagree. I know people aren't always happy with what's going on, and that is okay. The question is more so, or the feedback is more so about avoiding demeaning comments about specific people or specific groups. And if you are, frustrated with different people, you can always contact me or contact those people directly. And just had that ask from a couple of parents who are not in leadership roles. And so I agreed to bring that up and not just share it with the PAC leadership. Thinking ahead and looking at what we have coming in the month of May, as you heard from Brittany, there's a lot. So we're actually going to release an additional newsletter next week, because while we verbally shared a lot of things, we know that there's a lot of things that it would be helpful to have in writing. So you will get another newsletter from us kind of in between the 2 monthly newsletters with a lot of this information. Just a reminder, there is no class on this coming Friday, April 30th. So students get a day to kind of rest and relax. So please make sure that is noted. I continue to appreciate invitations to join these meetings. I will stay and answer questions as always. So if it's something that you would prefer to ask privately or have answered privately, feel free to just private message me. If it's something that you're okay with everybody kind of hearing or getting the answer to, then just verbally ask the question or put it in the chat for everyone. I am actually not able to attend the May PAC meeting, which makes me really sad because it's the last meeting of the year. But Miss Gannett Dana Gannett is gonna attend. So we will have somebody here, and every month we usually have a counselor or Brittany or usually a couple people from our team. So I know that we'll have good representation. Continue to let me know if there are specific things you'd like me to talk about or bring up, or questions that you'd like me to answer, so I can gear my remarks towards that. That's always really helpful for me. And as you can see today, I kind of incorporated a lot of the things that people sent to me in advance. And I would also say the same thing for the newsletter. If you as parents have announcements you'd like us to include or specific topics you want us to cover, let us know and we will be happy to do that. I will stop because I know that was a lot. And again, I'll stay and hang out and answer any questions that people have. I'm going to stop sharing now too.
Thanks for those updates, Katie. And while I get my screen back to the presentation, I would like everyone to have this opportunity to, as she said, unmute if you have any specific questions for Katie, or feel free to put them in the chat. And if one of our moderators wouldn't mind sharing any questions that might have come up as she was giving updates.
So CAC is not on this call, so the most recent question was probably kind of directed towards them. They're wondering about sophomores being able to meet with the academic counselors, and their parents and sophomores haven't had a chance to do that yet. I don't know if Katie, or if you or Dr. Comfort or someone else would have anything to chime in on that topic or not.
Yes, I can chime in. Yeah, if there's a need to meet with the counselors, of course, that's something that we want to do all the time. The counselors and that group, of course, fall under the academics under my office. And so, yes, I will make sure that I talk with the CACs and make sure they communicate with you all. And please, 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 whatever questions you have, send them our way. And sometimes when you're in doubt, you're not sure, send the email to the principal's office. And sometimes I'll confer with Ms. Berger, and then we'll figure out who we should send that to. And some other times it's obvious who should be answering that question. So feel free to send that our way and we'll make sure that the appropriate person answers your question.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Katie? Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, what do you do with that Slido type of feedback now? Because it was looking like about half say yes, and the other half are either undecided or no. So what happens next?
We'll have a focus group this week. So I'm going to follow up with Dana Gannett after this and say, hey, let's get something scheduled. I am going to tell you all that we're going to try to move and have kind of a quick turnaround. So we'll schedule something for this week and we'll put it out to parents. And usually with focus groups, it's like you try to pull a cross section of parents and have it be a small enough group where everybody can really have a lot of time to process the information and voice their opinions. So focus group might be the wrong term. It might be more of like an open forum to discuss and share the proposal and gather feedback, but we will schedule something this week because there isn't clear consensus from parents. And we know that we only have about 50 parents here today. And so wanting to make sure that we get some more feedback from families. So look out for something, probably get an email either over the weekend or Monday for something happening this week.
Thank you.
The other question related to that survey that someone put in chat was that that the survey kind of assumes that students are on campus to live in those halls, and they're wondering what the status is on the fall, and if there is a commitment that students are going to be living in the halls, and whether that survey would therefore be meaningful.
Yes, there at this point in time, we are planning for our students to be back on campus in the fall. In absence of our new president joining us on July 1st and that kind of official decision coming from him as our new president, for me, I'm like, let's go, let's plan, let's be prepared. And we did receive an email communication from the Board of Trustees, we as staff, you all as parents, and our students as well. And I could go back, I'll have to go back and find the date because I like to cite my sources. I'll put it in the chat, where our board chair, Dr. Roach, said, we look forward to having people back in the fall. And so the kind of feedback and the direction is we want to have students back and staff back, and we need to work to make sure that everyone is aligned on that goal and that we are all aligned on what it takes to make that happen. But as far as planning right now, we are planning for, getting things back to business as usual with some new processes in place to ensure safety and security are the top priority. Again, I am not the new president of IMSA. I have no ability to speak on an official decision, but I'm telling you the mindset that we are kind of approaching our work with is we're getting ready and we're getting prepared.
Okay,
A couple other
so-
questions before we move on. Just asking about updates on the anti-Semitic incident that happened. Or any updates going on about that?
Yes, the disciplinary process, the investigation, the hearing, all of that has been concluded and there has been an outcome. Our Chief Equity Officer, Tracy Ellis, and Ms. Dana Gannett, our Chief Hearing Officer, have been the ones to oversee that process and hear that. Obviously, student discipline is confidential and it would be problematic for me to share too many details, but what I can share is that that process has been wrapped up, that there has been a sanction issued, and that will be included in our end of year kind of total report of what our disciplinary outcomes were for the academic year. Any additional questions, I would say you can email and direct them to Ms. Dana Gannett. I typically am not very involved because I'm the person who hears appeals, so I kind of stay out of it. But if you have more direct questions, then you can email Dana.
Thank you. And then Dr. Comfort, a couple other questions about CACs have come up. Really looking, since maybe you could help with that, looking about people like, is it okay for parents to ask? It looks like some parents have said that, they've been told the students should really be asking the questions, but they're not getting responses. And so they're kind of trying to figure out how to get, more information from the CACs as parents to help their students.
So they are, I'll make sure that I, communicate with the CACs, and there are questions or there are some things that we want to make sure that we empower our students. And so there may be some situations where it would be good for you to get information through the students, ask the students about things that we want them to communicate with you. So that's the reason that we may do that, not because we're trying to hide information from you. So I would talk with the CACs, make sure that they're encouraging students to share information with you. Now, if you're not getting information, because that happens sometimes, you're not getting information from students, of course, feel free to send an email and we'll make sure that we share that information with you. Or if it's something that we really want students to engage with you about, we'll make sure that we encourage them to do so. What other questions do you have?
There was a parent that asked a question too about, so the senior activities going on campus, they're wondering how you're able to do that since repopulation wasn't able to happen. Basically, what's being done to address the safety concerns that prevented all students from coming onto campus.
Okay, so that Ms. Berger and I can take that. So again, safety is always, the first thing that we think about as we were thinking about bringing students to campus. And by the way, I am excited for our students because they've been really wanting to come to campus, to graduate, at least having some experience on campus. And so, yeah, we have a lot of things we're putting in place, testing and that kind of thing. So I'm going to actually let Katie answer that because I know people have asked, you're inviting students to come to campus. Are you going to expect them to have had the vaccine before they come? So Katie, can you jump in so we could talk about that part?
Yes, in response to, are we going to expect the students to have the vaccine before they return for senior week? The answer is no. We have communicated to the students. We met with the seniors on Wednesday, and then we sent a follow-up communication to the senior parents and students, as well as staff and all the other students and parents too, because we wanted everybody to know that students will have to have a negative test upon arrival at IMSA, and that they will all be tested again on Friday morning prior to graduation rehearsal. And so that is what we are going to do. We continue to be compliant with CDC and IDPH. We continue to, on a weekly basis, get a summary of any of the changes and make modifications as needed. We continue to work with our different groups about, what is going to make you feel comfortable returning. And most importantly, we're in compliance. So we're excited to be able to bring students back and to be able to provide families with the option, if they want to allow their student to participate.
Thank you very much.
There's a question about that specifically, whether that meets there are some issues I believe with the RCs and acceptable work conditions, and is that does what's going to be happening going to meet that? That's one of the questions in chat.
I just wanted to add that I didn't mention earlier. Mia, who actually spoke today, one of the RCs, did reach out to kind of be a part of the committee and planning the senior activities. So there will be the RCs will be involved in the planning and decision making of how things are executed.
Yeah. So related to that, I know that Ms. Berger mentioned this, and what Brittany is saying, we are in the process of doing a lot of planning. For next year, of course, typically whatever we do, as you all know, we had a task force, for example, that worked on the transition and repopulation and all of that. So we're in the process of doing the same thing. We have all of our stakeholders that we need to be involved in the planning. And so if there are questions that you're asking and we can specifically give you answers, it's not because we're trying to withhold those, it's because we want to engage and involve our stakeholders. So we're excited though about the possibility of getting our students back to campus. And some of the questions that some of you have emailed me about is, are we bringing everyone to campus, or are we going to be doing some kind of hybrid? We are engaging in that, and we will be thinking about and answering those questions and making sure that we send out comprehensive communication to you all in regards to those things. And please continue to ask questions, and we'll make sure that we respond. The end of the year, of course, is fast approaching. And so we're working on finishing the year and again, planning for next year. As you heard from Dr. Hancock, there is a lot of things that that faculty is doing with our students, academic related things. And so we'll continue to do that so we can finish the year and then continue to think about, okay, what would next year look like? So we're working very hard on that. Katie mentioned that they will be sending out a newsletter next week. One of the things that she and I do is make sure that we look at comprehensively making sure that we provide information that you need. And so I'll be working with her. There might be information that we'll put in that newsletter just to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Hopefully you've received a lot of information about graduation. We met with the students. We are we're excited for the students. We provided them with information that they would need about graduation. I think you already know about the venue, about, students they're going to have 6 tickets for graduation. They'll have specific area where they're going to be sitting, all of those kinds of details. Ms. Martinez, who is my admin assistant, she is our contact person for that. And so whatever questions you have, send those our way, and we'll make sure that we answer those questions for you. If there's specific questions you have today that I can answer, please put them in the chat. I'm sure Brittany or someone would read them. And between me and Ms. Berger, we will be able to answer those questions for you. What else? I just want to thank you all for the continued collaboration and support for our students as they actually live and learn from home. That is hard, and we know that you're playing such a critical role to work with us to support them. So if there are specific questions that I can answer, because I know there's so much going on, and the questions that everyone has different questions that they would like answered, I'm open to responding to those right now, as opposed to me trying to think about what all to cover.
There's a question in regards to the type of bag that could be brought. There was specifics about being see-through or clear bag, if there's any specific details.
Yes, because again, I think Ms. Martinez actually shared some of that information, and we will go ahead and send additional information about that. Yes, it needs to be see-through and not a big bag. And so yes, that information was shared previously.
When you say a clear bag, can it be colored and translucent, or literally colorless and clear?
See-through. It could, yeah, it could have some kind of color, but as long as you can see what's in it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What other questions do you have?
There was another question about summer SIR, and if that's still something available for sophomores.
Yes. So we have our SIR coordinators. That's Dr. Dave Duvall and Dr. Samya Andrew. So whatever questions you have related to that, send an email to we have that, I think is posted on the website. Otherwise, send it to the principal's office and we'll direct you to the appropriate place.
We also have a question about retirement. Someone specifically asking about Mr. McGovern, but I'm sure, and if there would be someone already to replace him if he is retiring, and I'm sure people would be interested in any other retirements that you have information to share about.
Absolutely, yes. We are already working on a replacement because, of course, best scenario would be for us to hire someone and for him to be able to pass some wisdom onto them before he leaves. So yes, we're actively working on that. I've been working with HR to make sure that we get that job description and post that opening, yes.
And we've had 2 or 3 parents ask whether it would be possible to maybe do a senior parent meeting specifically for senior parents to help them understand the planning and everything that's going to be going on, what they need to do.
Yes, in fact, that's something that Ms. Berger and I have thought about and talked about. So yes, we will be more than happy to do that.
Can I also add to that? I just saw something that said, can we take photos during prom? I forgot to mention when I was talking about virtual events, there's so many things happening. There will also be a virtual prom option, and then there will also be a virtual senior recognition option. So those will take place, I believe that happens to be on Memorial Day weekend, and more information will be forthcoming because we know that not everyone will plan to be on campus. So we still would like students to have a prom opportunity. To answer the direct question about taking photos during prom, I will pass to Katie to see because that would require additional people being on campus.
At this point, so I'll be honest that we haven't made a firm decision on this. We are trying to limit the number of people coming to campus because we're having everybody who's coming on campus is required to be tested, even if they are fully vaccinated. And so my initial thought is probably no, but I don't want to speak prematurely. And as we shared with the students when we met with them, we have kind of a framework of what we're going to do. And we always, we want to plan enough to be able to share what the framework of the week is going to be and what some of the key expectations are going to be, some of the times for arrival, departure, needing testing and all of that. And we didn't want to get so far ahead of the seniors and their parents and our staff that they didn't have the opportunity to weigh in and influence what was going to happen. And so we're trying to toe this line really strategically of planning enough to give you enough information, but not going so far ahead that we think that we know what the students want, but we don't know what the students want, or we think we know what you as parents need, but we don't really know what you as parents need. And so that's why Brittany was saying, like, I'm working with a group of students. We have some RCs who are participating. I'm working with different people around the academy. I have this committee of parents that we're working on senior banquet and all of these things. And I think the list of those parents was shared on a previous slide because we know that we got to kind of get feedback from all these different groups to then finalize everything that's happening. So continue to email us any questions or concerns that you have. The deadline for people to say, yes, count me in, or no, count me out, so that we can have some numbers, is May 2nd. That next week, we will send out some written communication, about like, how move-in is going to work, and how meals are going to work, and how medication is going to work, and what to pack, and all of those things. And we'll schedule a meeting for senior students and their parents mid-May to also provide some verbal information and then answer questions. And our plan was to do it sort of like we did for our Zoom sessions in March, where we did about 30 minutes of sharing information from various different campus partners, and then about 30 minutes of just live Q&A, just people kind of spitting out questions and us responding to them. So that would be our plan mid-May for our seniors. And Brittany, if I'm missing anything, certainly, obviously.
No, absolutely. I think it would be a great opportunity to have, just all the details, because so much will be coming up mid-May. To answer a couple of the questions, somebody had asked if the underclassmen could watch. The prom format virtually is actually through Goose Chase, which is like a virtual scavenger hunt. And just for the senior parents in the house, all seniors and their families will be open to do so, even if they do plan to opt into the in-person. So it's a IMSA senior family event, and it actually does include parents getting jazzed up. And I don't want to give too much away, but So we won't have underclassmen because it's literally in a server that we need to communicate only with the people who are actively participating. But what I will do is take all the photos and videos or anything that we do from that virtual prom and have it available to share to the IMSA community at a later date. There was a question a couple of times posed about having access to CACs for juniors, and then some information on summer programmings or summer internships. I'm not sure who can answer those.
So what was the access to CACs? I thought I responded to that. Is there another specific questions?
I think you addressed the access to CACs more or less. Again, there are people saying that they were having trouble getting responses, but I think you did address that you were going to reach out to the CACs about that. And then we had someone asking about, does IMSA provide support with paid summer internships?
And so that's related to, I'm assuming that's related to the SIR and that kind of thing. We have someone who works with our students on internships. She's in our N2 area. I will talk to her about that, and so that we can communicate the right information to you all. But then when it comes to SIR, we have students, sometimes students are reaching out, they have someone they want to work with, and then they let coordinators know so that we can figure out something for them for the summer. So it's a mix of different ways for students to get set up with those experiences. So I'll reach out to a person in N2 in our outreach area, and then I'll also make sure that the coordinators for SIR program provide information to everyone so that you have that. I hope that helps.
Now, you guys talked about having a parent meeting in mid-May for seniors. Someone asked if they could have information, or there could be a meeting before then, because it sounds like they want to be able to get information to help decide whether they want to opt in or not.
I think if there are questions now, we would be happy to answer them now.
Yeah.
If there are those.
Yeah.
Or they could just, or if they have them in the upcoming days, they could reach out to you by email.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say email Brittany and I. But we're also happy, like right now, that's part of why we come to these meetings. And I always say, like, I'll answer whatever questions you have. And some of you know, when I don't know the answers, there's a follow-up email, usually within 30 minutes of the meetings, trying to connect you with people to get you answers. So I think if there are specific questions now that we can answer that help you with that decision, we could certainly do that. And either, if you don't mind unmuting and verbalizing them, the chat is very busy. So it sometimes is easier if you verbally ask your question.
Katie, is it possible for me to ask a question? I'm sorry. This is Rios Bex-Missa. And I think I've asked this a couple times, but I'm trying to just get a little more specifics. Is that, Dr. Anderson, you had mentioned about access to the CACs over the summer. And I think my specific question is that we have been told that our CAC is going to be unavailable for the summer. And so during the summer, that's when really my son is a junior right now, and he won't be starting his real college search, a lot of it, until probably after June, beginning of June, and visiting colleges, doing some applications, starting on the essays and things like that. So given that our CAC is going to be unavailable during that entire summer, what is your recommendation for us to do? Is there any other access to any other resources or anything like that? That's where my specific question was about access. Sorry.
Okay. So one, the CACs are 9-month employees. That might be why, if they say they're not going to be available, that might be why. However, our office, we need to make sure that if you have questions that we can answer, we would do that. Now, I think proactively, when I talk with the CACs, in your specific case, it might be a good idea to proactively talk to them now, given that we know they will not be there when you need maybe a face-to-face. So whatever questions you might want answered, or you might like answered, or things that you think resources that might be helpful, we can work proactively to do that. But the reason that the CACs are not there is because they're they're 10-month employees, and that's why.
So our next steps then, I've set up a meeting with the CAC in the month of May.
Okay.
But aside from that, what is the next step for who is that contact that I should send any email questions, or my son either should send any question emails if he wants some help with Naviance or some help kind of stepping in with even reading his essays and kind of giving him ideas as to how to write or how to do something different.
So I think, like I said, I'm glad that you've reached out and you're scheduling an appointment with the CACs right now, and so that you can ask questions like the one you just asked, and they'll be able to, because this is something that they've been doing for a long time. They'll be able to answer your questions and help with a plan for what happens during that time when the CACs are not physically available.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello. Yes, my name is Rahul Alawani. I'm a sophomore parent, and I would like to know what the administration plans to do in terms of returning to campus next fall. We keep hearing that everyone wants to return. I just want to avoid the frustration that we all went through very recently. Does the IMSA administration plan to share the progress that will be made over the summer with in terms of negotiation with the two unions? I just want to be prepared mentally, both me and my child or student want to be prepared mentally because the more information we know about the progress being made, I think we will know what to expect in the coming days or weeks as we approach the start of the next school year, rather than the rug being pulled underneath our feet at the very last moment, which is what happened very recently. And especially, I want to express my frustration as a sophomore parent. Our students have left their old schools to come to IMSA so that they could meet new friends, make new connections, learn in a new environment. That is, and we would like to have some visibility into what's happening in terms of these labor negotiations with the two unions. And I think it's a fair expectation from all parents to know what's going on about these negotiations. We don't need anything definitive, but at least if we can say, hey, these were the top 10 issues, or say 50 issues. We had total 50 issues. These are the top 10 in terms of their importance to the two respective unions. And these are the issues that have been solved. So put some weightage on each of those issues and say, out of the 100% of the issues that were raised, weighted issues, 50% or 10% have been addressed, and we will not be revisiting them. There is complete agreement, or 25%. And as the time progresses, you should put out some indication of what's happening with those negotiations. I think that's a fair expectation from all parents and all students.
Yes, when it comes to communication, that's something that we're committed to. And so we will continue to communicate and provide information as we have it.
Well, you said we will continue to, but I don't think what I'm really asking for is in terms of progress made in terms of percentage. Hey, but this date, this is our target, or even if you don't have targets, at least tell us, hey, we have reached an agreement over 10% of the issues, or 25% of the issues, or 50% or 75%, and we are now in the home stretch, and we are hopeful, whatever it is, that the remaining 15 or 20 or 25% of the issues, sticking points, will be resolved. So we know how much progress is being made, rather than just building up all the momentum up until the start of the school year, and at the final moment deciding, oh, there are still some very serious issues and that have been not resolved. So we will not be reopening as planned on that particular day. I think as parents and students, I think because everybody keeps saying it is for the best interest of the students, and I don't think that the students or the parents are being heard.
I just want to say, from the perspective of the IMSA Council, we are eager to discuss with management their plans for a fall reopening. Unfortunately, we have not had any discussions at the bargaining table related to repopulation, at least as the IMSA Council, in weeks now. So, like, I second your sense of urgency and the desire for collaboration and communication, because it is essential that we get students back to campus this fall, if at all possible, for so many reasons. I really think that continued remote learning poses an existential threat to IMSA, because, as one of my juniors has said, you can't have a boarding school without the boarding. And we, as teachers, really have felt the loss of the experiential component of learning. We want to get back as soon as possible, but the councils don't make the ultimate decision about planning for repopulation. Management is, as an employer, responsible for the plan, and we are willing to help them shape that plan and really to arrive at solutions that are acceptable to all parties. Keeping, as you said, I think students and their interests, their welfare, their well-being at the forefront. So the IMSA Council really looks forward to getting back to the table ASAP, to talking with management about their plans and our support, what feedback we can provide to make repopulation happen on schedule as planned in the fall.
It's good to hear that, because that's the goal, for us to work together so that we can make that happen. So,
well,
and that's
okay. So, sorry to interrupt. Please finish. I'm sorry.
And that's why I said earlier that we're at the beginning stages, because like Dr. Hancock said, it's something that we're going to do collaboratively.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your feedback. I think it was a lot more emphasis on being politically correct, which I'm not too good at personally. But I don't feel, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I think if IMSA is not going to reopen as scheduled from day one, I will not hesitate to pull my child out of IMSA and go back to our regular school. I think there's been enough of this frustration.
Yeah, I agree completely.
I think we will seek other options where our child can experience the more social interaction and true interaction in person with their at their regular school.
Absolutely, I think that's a reasonable expectation, and we worry about that exactly. We do not want to lose students and their families. So bringing back students in the fall is our #1 priority. But really, it is up to our administration to figure out how to do that. And unfortunately, this is a challenging time because of the turnover in leadership. But I think that IMSA has always been about finding creative solutions to problems and challenges. And I expect all parties to rise to the occasion to make that happen for the benefit of students.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Mr. Hancock and Rahul said. So I guess my question is, moving forward, what does administration plan on? How do we better engage parents and students rather than just sending out a survey? I think in the decision-making process, obviously, parents and students are a huge stakeholders, and I think we need to be involved more than what has been happening in last year or so. So what is administration plans or thinking on what steps we'll be taking differently than last year?
Again, the board has made it clear that they would like for us to get back to school in the fall. So those conversations are going to be happening and the plans are going to be made. Like I said, we're at the beginning stages of those plans for the fall, and it's going to take administration working with the unions and then all stakeholders. So that's something that we're going to be working on moving forward.
So am I to understand that right off now?
The parents right now is asking for more transparency.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to respond if that's okay. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah. So there, Miss Alexis Thomas is in the process of forming a committee to look at fall repopulation, and it will include members of the faculty union, members of the RC union, members of staff, a student group, and
parent representatives.
And so I think that will be an opportunity for individuals to be involved. The reality is there are 650 students and just as many families who all have different interests and concerns. And so one of the things that we've learned through, at least I have observed through the planning for this spring, is that we need to work a little bit more on what it looks like to have student and parent liaisons and making sure that they're kind of working with their constituency groups and that we're fostering more focus groups and things like that to ensure that some of that is happening with our students and with our parents. We had a group of about 10 students who were engaged with the repopulation planning process that previously happened and student focus groups as well, which we received some positive feedback on. And if there's things that we should do to pivot and do that differently, we absolutely can. And we can take a similar approach with parents. I'm not exactly sure why the bargaining meeting was canceled this past Thursday, Dr. Hancock. I believe you all are scheduled to meet again this coming Thursday, so hopefully conversations will continue. I know that the RC union was officially recognized just this past week. And so now we have the opportunity to really begin those conversations. And we look forward to bargaining with the RC union when the RC union reaches out to us, and because we can't force people to bargain with us. So it will be on their terms to reach out to us and to set up those meetings, but we are ready to engage in those conversations. And as I said earlier, like, we're planning housing, we're releasing housing, we're doing those things because we want to move forward. And I hear Dr. Hancock saying the same things. And so we just need to work through some of the details. And I hear you all saying, like, we want to know more of those details in advance. And I think that that's something that we can all work on together, because I'm hearing Dr. Hancock say, like, yeah, we all want to work through that together. Right. So I think there's some agreement there.
This has got to happen. It really does. And there is, it's not like we're starting from scratch. That is what is most encouraging to me, that there is a, the Titan PAC, there is a plan on the table. It may need some tweaking, but I really do think that it would be to our advantage to look at other boarding schools that have successfully reopened and to really use them as a guide for us for the fall. I think that I think our plan already includes a lot of strong elements that have been validated by expert guidance. And I think it's just a matter of really both sides coming to the table and saying, what do we need to do to make this happen? And like I said, the council is waiting for management to say, okay, here, because our previous demands are on the table. They are subject to change based on changing conditions on the ground. I think certainly the availability now of vaccines to many of our students really will cause us to revisit our existing position and if warranted, to adapt our demands to make fall repopulation happen, because students just can't be expected to sign on for IMSA indefinitely without a clear, reliable promise of having an in-person learning and living experience.
Okay, this is Rahul again, and some of the comments that have been made by both Ms. Katie Berger and Dr. or Mr. Michael Hancock, they really continue to concern me. Mr. Hancock said that, or based on Mr. Hancock's response, it looks like the communication process has been completely broken down, and there have not been any talks since the announcement was made by Dr. Torres a few weeks ago. And both the sides, despite whatever has been told to us, looks like both sides have not come back to the table. At least that's your public stance. So
I want to correct that because we have been at the table since the cancellation of spring repopulation was announced. And we stated to management, like, our previous demands remain on the table. They did not go away when Dr. Torres canceled spring repopulation. We have been talking about other collective bargaining agreement matters. And just for the record, the reason that our bargaining session this past week, and we are set up for weekly bargaining, the reason our bargaining session this past week, this past Thursday, was canceled was because management did not have anything new to bring to the table. And that included a response to previous demands that we made related to repopulation. So really, like, we are just waiting to hear back from management. The ball is in their court, and we want to get back to the table to talk about this. So,
you know, as a parent, your comments are not helpful at all. I'm sorry to say, you are a teacher, you are an instructor. I have respect for you for your profession, but in terms of collective bargaining and these negotiations, labor negotiations, as a key constituent to the IMSA institution, I don't feel I don't get that warm and fuzzy feeling based on your response.
I'm sorry not to give you a warm and fuzzy feeling, but it takes two to come to an agreement. And we are waiting for management to respond to concerns that we have previously raised, other than to say no. There has to be compromise here.
Is there
that compromise just can't just be
everyone. I'm going to step in now because I know there's a lot of conversation around this, and I do appreciate everybody sharing the information, but before it gets more heated of a conversation, because it sounds like this probably isn't the forum for some of these conversations to necessarily take place.
Then what is the forum? If PAC is not the forum, then what is the forum?
Forum.
Okay.
So I think that the fact that everyone is willing to participate in these meetings and engage in dialogue is wonderful, and it shows that we can continue to do that. I also know that our meeting was scheduled from 10 to 11:30 and that we're now 30 minutes past. So there are opportunities for us to continue to meet and to engage in dialogue. I think, Maria, I don't want to speak for you, that perhaps we are just over time today, and we can figure out the next opportunity to pull together key groups to engage in meaningful dialogue for things that are important to every single person here, especially you as parents, because this is impacting your students' educational experience. So I'm hearing from Dr. Hancock and from Dr. Kwaji Anderson and from Rafael and Mia as being willing to be here, and Brittany, that there are a lot of people who are willing to engage with parents and want to engage with parents. So I'm guessing that it's just a time thing at this point, that we're just a little bit beyond time.
But excuse me, I don't know if I can be heard, but It's a timing issue. That's the point. Parents need to make a decision now about if we stay at IMSA or not, because I'm not going to subject my son to be again, like they said, the rug was pulled under his feet. His friends are playing baseball. His friends are doing all the things. He's the one that is stuck in my house. I need to make the decision now because the public school has to fight for my son to be able to get into the community college to get in those classes. So I'm very disappointed that these conversations are not happening. We need to have an assurance. Tell me, 50%, if you tell me 50%, I pull my son and he goes to his public school. But if you tell me we're at 90%, okay, we stay. That's the problem, time. We don't have time. And I'm not gonna subject my son to have his senior year like the poor senior this year. I'm sorry, teachers, I'm sorry, RCs. You guys ruined with the administration their year. I'm not gonna put my son in the same situation. This is not acceptable. The decision has to be happening. I thought these conversations are already happening.
Guys, this is Rahul again. Do you feel the frustration of the parents? You keep saying you're at the bargaining table, and Mr. Hancock is saying, oh, the ball is in the administration's court. Administration is not saying anything. Are we keep pointing fingers at each other, or what?
That is not my desire, but the fact is that we need to be talking at the table, and that is not happening. And I am
exactly that is my point. I am sorry to interrupt.
So,
I'm sorry to interrupt. That's exactly my point. That the two sides are not talking to each other, and parents are being kept in the dark.
So that's
parents
you know,
kept in the dark for a long time.
Parents as a group, as a stakeholder, as taxpayer, stakeholder for their kids, as taxpayer, they have the right to know what's going on. The administration need to provide information, need to provide certain transparency, enough for the parent to evaluate what's the situation.
Okay, so since we are over time, I would like to ask Dr. Koji Anderson, Ms. Berger, and Dr. Hancock, is there anything that you could provide for the parents and guardians today that have concerns for moving forward, how we can improve this communication to parents and guardians?
So what I can say is, and Ms. Berger mentioned this, and we are continuing to work with, we will continue to bargain. We, of course, we're always willing to go to the table. We have a timeline of things that we've done that was shared. We are open to continuing to do that. I mentioned that we are at the beginning stages of planning for the fall. That's because we cannot do it without all of the parties involved. So we are going to continue to work on that, and we will communicate and share with you all where we are. And that's one of the reasons why we shared a timeline for the things that we had been doing. And so we will continue to do so. Katie?
Okay, well, let's go ahead. Okay.
I think next steps from my perspective, I know that I am going to reach out to my council exec board officers and certainly let them know about parental level of concern. I will reach out to our membership and talk about that as well, and that may modify our positions at the table. I want to reiterate, and it's not about finger pointing, but when Dr. Torres canceled spring repopulation, he effectively ended discussions, at least for the time being, about repopulation. We never walked away from the table as teachers or RCs. We wanted to continue that conversation. We still do, but management just basically said in response to our demands, we're canceling repopulation, and then they did not pick up that conversation. I encourage concerned parents to, you certainly reached out to me here. I'm listening. I hear you. I get your frustration and even your anger, okay?
Michael, I just want to
I
make
would
sure.
like you to reach out to our board and convey those same feelings to them because they are the governing body of the academy.
Yeah, so Dr. Hancock, I appreciate you saying that. And again, parents, we're not trying to be defensive. We canceled negotiations because the RCs, of course, there's a case that's going on, right? So it's not like administration just decided we're done. But Maria, like you said, I would like for us to continue this conversation. We need to make sure that we have everyone at the table. Because again, like you said, the finger pointing is not going to be helpful, but we are going to do whatever we can to communicate with you so that you know what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear because administration just didn't decide we're done. So.
Yeah, but
Okay,
the parents need information so they can make judgment and see which side, makes sense or not. I mean, any information can be obtained by FOIA. In a sense, you should be made public to the parents.
Okay, so now
Otherwise,
that
as a taxpayer, we have the right to FOIA, to collect those information.
okay, so since we are way over the time that we have allotted for the meeting, and again, Dr. Akwaji Anderson, Dr. Hancock, and also the others who have shared the information today, if you are able to provide more information ongoing to parents and guardians as far as what's going on in a timely manner, that's what sounds like parents will appreciate. So again, thank you. They will be here in the May meeting as well to give updates. So that is on Saturday, May 15th at 10 a.m. And if you have any questions moving forward, again, contact us at the email imsapac@gmail.com, or this will be shared. The recording of the meeting will be shared this week along with those slides that have the other contact information of who you can reach out if you have questions. And I believe in the chat, a lot of information has been shared. So if you have questions and people have shared their information, feel free to reach out. So with that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend. And again, thank you to everyone for joining us today and for those who have shared information today. Have a good day.